Am I the asshole for confronting and hurting my father's mistress? My father's fall didn't happen overnight. That kind of betrayal brews in silence, in secret smiles and quiet exits. It starts with a shift in posture, a new cologne, a delay coming home, and ends with your mother sitting at the edge of her bed in silence while the man who once kissed your scraped knees packs a suitcase without meeting her eyes. I didn't find out all at once. It came in layers. At first I thought my mom was just tired. Then I thought they were fighting about money. Then one day I came home early and heard her on the phone whispering to my aunt, "It's the maid. The one we let stay late because her bus didn't run after 10. The one I bought groceries for. That one." It felt like stepping into ice water. Her name was Maria. I had seen her in our house for years. Middle-aged, quiet, a little too polished for a cleaning lady. I remember once finding one of her earrings on the staircase and thinking nothing of it. My mom even paid for her daughter's school books once. My father? He barely acknowledged her in public, but apparently behind closed doors he was doing much more. Within weeks, the family fractured. My mother filed for divorce. She didn't scream, didn't cry in public, didn't make threats. She was done. A decade of marriage wiped out in one motion. And then came the storm. His parents, my grandparents, cut him off. He lost his seat on the board of the family company. My uncles iced him out of every family circle. He went from power suits and charity galas to a 2-bedroom rental with the woman who wrecked everything. They got married in a civil ceremony that none of us attended. I stopped answering his calls, tore open birthday cards just to rip them in half. I blocked every number he used. He became a ghost with a beating heart. My mother never told me not to hate him, she just never asked me to stop. Over the years I moved on. Kind of. I buried myself in work, moved to a new city, carved out a little pocket of life that didn't include his name. But every now and then I'd hear whispers about him. That he was still checking my Facebook. That he asked my cousins how I was doing. That he still sent emails that sat unread in the spam folder. And that Maria, his wife, was out there rewriting history. She told people I was turned against him. That I was a bitter little princess poisoned by her mother's tears. She called my grandparents relics of a dying generation. She said I hated her because I couldn't accept the truth. That my father had chosen her. What made it worse was that her daughter Isla, the one she brought into our lives like a parasite, had now married and started trying to join family circles she had no business being in. I started seeing her and her husband show up to events that had nothing to do with them. Graduations, christenings, baby showers. Like they'd earned a seat at the table. Then the accident happened. The crash was violent. Metal crunched. My car folded like paper. I remember the sound of my own breath in that moment, short, wet, terrified. I woke up in the hospital to the beep of machines and the ache of broken ribs. They said I was lucky to be alive. Turns out, my father had come the same night I was brought in. He came again the next day. And the day after that. I didn't see him once, but he sat in the waiting room for hours. My family let him. I would have kicked him out. When I was discharged, I thought that would be the end of it. But then came the calls. The letters. The packages. And then the rumors again, this time worse. Maria had been running her mouth again, saying I was trauma bonding with my mother. That I was damaged by our family's bitterness. That she wished I could heal. And that's when I snapped. I told my uncle to give my father a message. I'd agree to meet. One time. No games. I wanted to speak to him and her face to face. We chose a venue, a quiet conservatory near the coast, tucked into a clifftop inn. I wore black. Not for drama, but because I wanted no one mistaking this for a family reunion. I expected them both. What I did not expect was to see Isla walk in ahead of them, holding her husband's hand like this was a picnic. They came in smiling. Maria beamed like it was her daughter's graduation. They sat across from me like we were equals. Like they had a right to share air with me. Maria started talking first. Something about being proud of me for reaching out. About new beginnings and healing family wounds. And then, with the same grin she probably used to seduce my father, she said Isla always dreamed of having a big sister. And now that dream could come true. I let her talk. Then I set the table on fire. I started by addressing her lies. Every single one I had heard over the years I listed out loud. Her insults about my mother. Her mockery of my grandparents. Her pitying tone when she described me to others. I detailed the betrayal she committed with my father while pretending to be grateful to our family. I reminded her of every favor my mother gave her, rides, food, even money, while she was plotting behind her back. She shifted in her seat. Her smile faltered. I hadn't even raised my voice yet. Then I turned to her daughter. I said I wasn't her sister, had never been and would never be. That family wasn't something that could be bought through marriage licenses and stolen legacies. I reminded Isla of what her mother taught her. How to climb by kneeling, how to replace rather than build. Her husband's face went pale. Then I delivered the dagger. I told Maria that I thanked the stars she could no longer bear children. That the damage stopped with her. That my bloodline would never carry a trace of hers. I warned Isla's husband to be cautious, because marrying into poison is still drinking from the same cup. Then I looked at my father. Really looked at him for the first time in almost a decade. I offered him a choice. He could come back. Reclaim his family, the roots he had abandoned, the people who built him. But it meant shedding the life he chose. It meant leaving Maria behind. I didn't offer it as a suggestion. I offered it like a deal with fate. He tried to speak, but I stood. I told them the meeting was over. That if I heard one more word from that woman's mouth about me, I'd have my lawyer send papers so thick they'd be able to wallpaper that tiny house they lived in. I walked out and didn't look back. That was 3 months ago. Since then, the family has been shaken. My grandparents backed me. My mother never said a word, but she smiled for the first time in years. Some relatives think I went too far. That mocking Maria's infertility crossed a line. But they weren't there the night my mother cried into a towel to keep from waking me. They didn't watch the man who once held me on his shoulders abandon us for a cleaner with ambition and zero shame. She hurt us first. For years. Now she knows I don't forget. Let her call me cruel. Let her call me broken. At least I know where I come from. And I'll never let her rewrite the story of my family again.